Hi, everybody. You're listening to Embrace the Madness. Happy New Year. This is Madeline, and I'm bringing you the very first episode of 2021. It's also pretty cool because it actually ends up being episode number 50, which I don't know, kind of just seems like anniversary special number, something special about the number 50, but that's super cool. I did want to do this little intro just because I got really excited. I was like, "Hell, hail." I was like, "I'm gonna do a video for Patreon while I record this," but I did it through Zoom, and so I assumed that the audio would be normal just because I was just doing it just by myself, but the video turned out cool, but then the audio sounds like I'm talking to myself on Zoom, so it's a little weird. It's not bad, but it's just weird. But the quality is really good in the episode, and so it's really hard to duplicate that. So I just wanted to preface the episode with it's good stuff. It's not necessarily the quality that you're used to listening to, but it's fine. It should be fine. I think there's a lot to get from the episode, and I hope you really enjoy it. So it's also like this situation too where one of my intentions for 2021 is to surrender. And of course, I was like, oh, wow. Of course, the first episode that I put out is like this, but here we are. Here we are. So have fun listening, and I'll catch you later. Hi, welcome to Embrace the Madness. This is your host, Madeline. I'm so happy you're here to join me. If you've never, ever, 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 ever listened before, then this is just a podcast where we talk about the stuff that life throws at you. And you know what they say, making lemonade out of those lemons. I kind of just said it wrong, but you know what I mean. I'm actually recording video for this for my Patreon subscribers. So that's kind of interesting and a little bit more vulnerable than I normally put myself through. So, if you're watching the video, hey. And if you're listening to the podcast and you don't know what I'm talking about, then I have a Patreon where I do bonus episodes. I've got some guided meditations on there, and I send a cute little homemade postcard every month right to your mailbox. So if you want more deets on that, check out patreon.com/embrace the madness. So I had to take a little break from, I don't know, life for a second, just because, like, if you create things and have to come up with things kind of out of thin air, then you know how hard it is sometimes to do so when you're feeling uninspired, burned out, all these things. And so it took me literally to my breaking point to be like, look, Madeline, you need to take a break. You need to take a break. There's just nothing else to say. And so, as much as I hated, and like nobody even cared, I don't think. I think I post a lot anyways. So it's like, I don't know. It's just the voice in my head that tells me that you're not doing enough and you're lazy and blah, 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 blah. So here we are. Probably didn't even take a long enough break, but that's okay. I did feel inspired to come up with this idea. And so, yeah, we're taking it in baby steps. And I'm trying to release this yucky energy and this need to do everything perfectly. And, you know, yeah, I'm trying to release it in the new year. So, heck yeah, 2020's over. Now what? I'm sure we're all asking ourselves these questions like, oh yeah, 2020's over, so now everything's fine, right? No, everything's not fine. I mean, it could be fine, but like, just because the years change doesn't mean things are going to change without us doing something differently. And so I just wanted to talk about that and talk about, yeah, what we got to do and all these things. So I know I'm excited, you're excited, we're all effing excited that this year's over. This year has brought I really don't know if there's a better metaphor, but probably because I made it, but it literally feels like I've been run through a paper shredder, and I that image is visceral because that's how this year's made me feel. But I think I it's easy for me to forget that you have to go through those experiences so that you can transform. Like transformation isn't some just like, oh poof, you're transformed, you're done. And so, like I'm naive for thinking that it was going to be easy and thinking that I wasn't going to go through the ringer. And so, yeah, I'm ready to be out of the paper shredder. Like, put me in a manila envelope. I just want to like rest and lay flat for a while. But yeah, so the year changes. We just change 0 to 1. And we all know that changing the year when we write our dates is always really hard and it doesn't happen until months later. But even though the decimals change, we're still like, things don't necessarily always feel different. We're in the same situation as we were yesterday or so and so, and I'm in the same body, and it seems like the same reality. And so it kind of makes you realize that, oh, I have to do something different. I have to do the work. And that is not always easy. And I have to remember that the change has always been up to me, and the transformation has always been my responsibility. And that it's up to me to, the cliche saying, but it's true, be the change you want to see, in the world. So it's up to me to make 2021 what I want it to be. And I think that's important to remember because just because the year's changed and it's no longer 2020, it's not just going to fix itself. Like, as we've seen over this past year, and thank God too, like, thank God we've been shown all of these things. I'm just like grateful that now everybody's pretty much on board that our political system's fucked up, that our healthcare industry is fucked up and in distress, that the money is not really distributed equally and fairly. And I was looking at this little graphic on Reddit, and it was showing the it was like a I'm gonna have to link it, but it was showing based on like swiping right how much wealth visually that Jeff Bezos from Amazon had. And it was outrageous. Like, it was just like they broke down all the people who were still billionaires but had less money than him. And it would be maybe like 2 or 3 pages worth of a swipe. But literally, Jeff Bezos was like, I don't know. I kept swiping and I'm like, oh my God. So it's just wild that we're still living in a time where we're not paid fairly. I hate that the government is fighting over our stimulus checks. These are just like these ding dong things that being a human entails. And it sounds really silly. And it's so hard to stay grounded, like spiritually, when you're like having to deal with this shit. And this past year has seriously just like, oh yeah, you want to see some more fucked up shit? Here you go, here you go, here you go. But I don't really know why I went on that tangent, but it was important. So, what I'm having to remember is that this transition from 2020 to 2021 is something that I'm going to have to work on with myself and something I'm going to have to figure out internally. And I'm going to have to ask myself, what does it mean? What does it mean to go from 2020? I'm like, how many 20s? 2020 to 2021. What does that mean for me? What am I going to have to change? What am I going to have to let go of? Those kind of things. And so I still need to do my tarot spread, but I found one that's 27 cards. But that should be, I don't know, only a couple hours. But yeah, if you are a journaler, then you have a lot to write about. There's this is a lot. There's a lot of reflection happening and a lot to reflect. I just said reflection. There's a lot that we have to almost, I wouldn't say we have to relive 2020, but it is important to take a step back and look at all the good things and look at all the bad things and look at what we learned and look at what we didn't like and make a note to not do that again. Yeah, I think it's important. It is definitely going to be hard, but I think that this is a necessary transition going into the year, because if we just kind of just throw 2020 in the trash and act like, oh yeah, cool, it's over, it might come back to haunt us. The trash from the dead, that would probably get scrapped if I sent it to a send it to a Netflix writer, but who knows? Who knows these days? So we can at least come to, this good feeling of how it feels metaphorically to close the chapter on this literal year from hell. It is gonna be so nice to say, like, whew, I remember that year. I'm so glad that I made it. So glad that I'm still here. It's over. And so 2021 becomes this new year. And like I said, it's still super important to remember what 2020 taught us. And it just taught us so many things. I know I learned about myself, about how I behave or not behave in times of distress. How do you act when you literally have nowhere to go? What is your response to imminent danger? Like, are you gonna like fight or flee or freeze? I'm a freezer. That's what I've learned. I just freeze and paralysis, and it's not good or bad, but it's not something that I want to take with me in 2021. And like, not to mention all the things we learned about ourselves, we learned about the people around us. We learned about who they are at their core, what they're willing to fight for, what they're not willing to fight for, what they're willing to stay silent on, what the world prioritizes, what our government prioritizes. We learned a lot if we were listening and paying attention. And I think my friends and I have talked about the biggest thing we've learned is just to surrender. And I think that has been a huge theme this year. There's a global pandemic. There's really nothing to do but surrender. We can bitch about it all we want. We can pretend like it doesn't exist all we want. But as we know, things happen. But it's interesting because it brings up this idea of control and security. And we act like this year, it just all of a sudden got taken away from us. But if we're really completely honest, we never had it to begin with. And thank God 2020 showed us that. Like, now we know that nothing is certain and nothing is absolutely safe all the time. Because now we can be equipped with that knowledge and that wisdom. And it seems weird that we would be grateful for something so seemingly horrible. But I mean, imagine if it didn't happen and then you just in your life just like got the carpet ripped from under you and you're fucked. And so it seems like we can now take this wisdom with us and we can use what we've learned to go into 2021 with a little bit more strength and certainty. And at least with the foresight of knowing that things could get weird and squirrely, but that we can do it. We did it this year. So we can for sure do it this next year. We just have to remember the strength that we learned and that we accumulated and bring that to our present lives in 2021. I think another thing that it taught us was life is short, very short. I think, and for some reason, I guess when I got into this journey, when I realized how short life is and that's why you should do whatever you want, I just became fascinated by it. But now, this whole year, everybody's kind of been like, this piece of paper has been shoved in front of your face, like, hey, your time is limited. You don't have that much time. You better hurry. If you think about it in the big timeline of the whole entire universe, well, one, you're lucky if you make 100 years. 100 years, 80 years is nothing. Nothing. It's literally such a short amount of time. And this year has taught us that. This year has taught us that you could have everything ripped from you at any given moment. And so if you are working a job that you don't like, or in this relationship that is not fulfilling, what are you doing? And it probably didn't seem like it was asking you compassionately, but sometimes we need that like shake. Like when you're, they say don't shake babies, so please don't shake babies. But like when you're like, pull yourself together, what are you doing? You could be gone tomorrow. You could not be here. You could lose your entire bank account. So what are you doing? And I think that's been a big illumination for me. You don't want to bartend the rest of your life. You don't want to work in the service industry. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? I don't have the answer. I don't know why. I mean, fear is like a big, I think, something that comes to mind, but I'm still thinking about it. And so it's too short to do stuff that we don't like. It's too short to be assholes. Like the people we love are dying. The people we love could be gone at any moment. I think this year just I mean it's they say things get weird when it's like an election year, but people were just so mean this year and so full of hate. And I understand like where it's coming from. I think it's a different conversation on whether it's justified or not, but life is too short to be filled with hate and to treat others poorly. And I think that's something I'm still learning, but it's too short to cut people off. It's too short to just immediately not have anything to do with. And I think that's something that everybody kind of is going to experience on in their own individual way. And I think for sure some people are justified, for sure. I think that's up for you to decide, but I'm thinking of keyboard warriors. That's such a funny term to me, but just like being assholes to people on the internet. Like, do you realize how much that makes you seem like really sad and empty inside? And I know being vulnerable is hard. It just this year has made me think, and I hope that everybody has kind of got to thinking, and it's definitely too short. It's too short to be witnessing all the suffering around us, to turn a blind eye, to act like we don't care. It's too short to not give a fuck. Like, in my eyes, we have to take care of each other. And I know not everybody has to agree with me, but I think I think it's too short that we're so quick to just forget about people or write them off or pretend like they don't exist. That's really sad to me. And I hope that we can grow in compassion and love for our fellow human beings so that we can rise up and take care of everybody in our community. And conversely, it's important to not give a fuck. I think it's important to give a fuck about the right reasons. And when it comes to our, common humanity, but it's also important not to give a fuck about what other people think. Because I know for sure this whole ass year, I've been worried about what other people think and how my actions and behaviors are going to reflect on me. And like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what other people think. They're not living my life. They're not paying my bills. And that's that. Like, I just need to not worry about it. So, knowing all of this, what now? What now? And this is kind of like an individual thing. What do you want out of 2021? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? I know for me, after kind of this year of reflection and learning about myself, I want to figure out what I do want and what I do want to accomplish and what I do want to do in my last. I mean, I'm not gonna like write my fate, but in the next 60 years, I have 60 years left. Hopefully, what am I gonna do? What do I want to do? What do I want to see? Now I know that anything could happen. We could get another travel ban. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to travel again, leave the country this year, but if the world was ending, what would you do? Like, we literally have this like question to answer, which is kind of scary, but also kind of exciting. It's like where you're like, ooh, what am I going to do? But I think for sure one of the things that I'm grateful for this year and I do want to take with me next year is how strong I am and how strong I've been this whole entire time. And I think the same goes for you too. How capable we are to have survived this year. And even if it's like by the skin of our teeth, we're here and we made it. And we couldn't have done it without ourselves and our strength. And so that's huge. That's huge to remember. And that's huge to take with us because that means if we were to face similar challenges in the coming year, which we are going to for the rest of our lives, we can do it. And there's going to be so many times when you feel like you can't. And I think that's going to happen until we die. But it's really powerful remembering that because that little bit will take you to where you want to be. And it will carry you even when things get dark and scary. So, with that, I will leave you. And I hope you have a lovely 2021 and that you can let go of this past year and thank it and send it on its way because it did serve a purpose and it did help us out. But your time's up and we'll see you later. That's what I'm telling 2020. It's like, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the heck out of here. So, yeah. Remember your strength. Remember that you made it this whole last year. Remember that you can do anything you set your mind to. And remember that you're awesome. So, I really appreciate you listening. And I'm excited for this whole brand new year. I got to figure out where Embrace the Madness is going, but I have a feeling it's going to be in a great direction. And I'm super excited to have you with me. And I appreciate you. And I'll catch you later. Bye. If you'd like access to more podcasts and a postcard each month, check us out on patreon.com/embracemadness.